I am extremely skeptical about anything online that claims to be real evidence of ghosts. Most of them are clearly set up. The creator always swears up and down that they were conveniently alone when capturing the footage, and they'll make a follow-up video again swearing the footage is not fake. But the footage is always fake. If it's not set up by the creator, it's either their friend playing a prank on them or some other logical explanation, like bugs or dust being ghostly orbs, or mistaking a shadow for an entity. If there wasn't such a clear and strong motive for setting up these types of videos, I wouldn't be so suspicious. But with social media, especially places like TikTok and YouTube, everybody is looking for their shot to go viral. Maybe they just want a few minutes of fame, or they're looking to gain a few followers. Don't even get me started on channels that are devoted to finding ghost evidence and looking for the paranormal. Those type of channels literally depend on something interesting happening in the videos related to ghosts, and so of course they are either set up or highly embellished. But there is this channel on YouTube that actually got my attention because they weren't trying to do any of the stuff that I just talked about. The channel is called Project Amber, and he has over 56,000 subscribers now. It follows this guy named CJ and his dog Lance as they travel to different countries in his ambulance vehicle turned van life van. One particular video of his caught a lot of people's attention because it had some ghostly evidence in it, but none of his other videos are related to ghosts. And we see in the footage that he got so scared and freaked out that he changed his van plans and moved to a different area. So he's making this video about fixing his van fridge. He's in the south of France and he is parked in an area that is rumored to be haunted. The video is about 15 minutes and the first 6.5 minutes are completely normal. He's showing us what's wrong with the fridge and taking it out of the van. But then at about 6 minutes and 30 seconds, he starts looking off camera. And then his dog starts acting weird.
To settle, for the gas to settle. Now I've just flipped it upside down and back again, so I'm going to give it the full 24 hours, I think, to... What are you looking at? You keep freaking me out, dog. There's no one over there. Are you seeing something I'm not?
So you see at about 6:54, he starts asking his dog what he's looking at and telling his dog that he's kind of starting to freak him out. I'm sure most of us have had this experience either with dogs or cats. They always seem to see things that we can't, regardless of if it's a scary thing or not. They do seem to be able to have this sixth sense for things that are not visible to humans. So then he explains that there is this really creepy well a little ways down.
There's actually a well. Just where I'm parked, you go down this little track and there's a well with a big metal bar on it, and originally I was going to go and park there, and I saw the well, instantly started thinking about the ring, which when I was about, I think it was about 10 when it came out, scared the shit out of me. For like a month I didn't sleep properly, so yeah, I'm not staying there.
So CJ explains that he was really going to park near that area by the well originally, but the well reminded him of the movie The Ring so much, which traumatized him when he saw it as a child, that he decided not to park in that area. And honestly, who can blame him? Anybody who's seen that movie probably wouldn't park next to a creepy old well in the middle of nowhere. So this is all in the same video, but he explains that the next evening this happened.
Okay, I'm seriously freaked out now. A minute ago I could hear like really loud moaning, like just booming across the mountains. So I've come down to where I could hear it. I got to this old well and it stopped. I mean, that thing's wild freaky. It's like something out of The Ring.
So he hears this wailing and it's really loud, and he explains in the clip that it doesn't stop until he gets close to the well. And then he sees this girl seemingly out of nowhere dressed like a monk. He explains that she has no hair and no shoes.
But just as soon as I got here, just from over there's no track or anything, it's just wood. This girl appeared, dressed like kind of like a monk, no shoes, and no hair. So I said bonjour and that, and she responded. I asked if she was okay, but she didn't respond then. She just carried on walking. So I carried on a bit and thought I better double check.
So the part that really scares me about this part of the story is that he said that he greeted the girl and he said bonjour, and she replied to that. But then when he asked if she was okay, because she looked kind of odd, she wouldn't respond. He said that she, quote, just carried on walking. And so he did too. But then he gets the feeling that he needs to double back and check if she's okay. And then this happens.
Went to go and find her again. She's gone. So up that way, that's where my van is, and that goes to the road. But down where she went, that way, there's nothing, and there's nothing for miles. Where did she go?
So she's just gone. He has no idea where she went, but he has a general idea of the direction that she went in, and he said that there's nothing in that direction for miles. He's so freaked out by this point, which I would be too, that he explains that he's about to nope out of there.
I'm gonna leave.
But before he's able to make it back to the van and leave the area, we get one more really scary clip. So as you heard in the video, he said, there she is again. And you probably couldn't see what he was looking at because you have to slow the video way down. So here's a really slowed down version of that clip. So I'll try to get a screenshot of it too and include it here because you can see something running in the distance that does kind of look like it's dressed in white. Honestly, if this video was any clearer, or if he had footage of the girl in the first place talking to him, I would be very suspicious because then it would just be a little too convenient, right? But the fact that he didn't get that footage and he only got this tiny bit of footage of her in the distance actually convinces me more that he's telling the truth and that this is real because it wasn't like he conveniently had his camera out. The other strange thing is that he explains this girl was running through the forest. He makes it seem like she was frantically running around through the forest, which is just odd in general, even if it was a human. So after all this footage, he puts text on the screen and explains that before, when he was fixing his fridge, before any of this happened, the dog was jumping up and looking in that direction and just seemed kind of generally agitated. He also said that Lance is an extremely friendly dog and one of those dogs that will run over to any stranger to make a new friend. But in this case, Lance refused to go over to the area where they later found the woman. And that's what Lance assumed the dog was looking at in the distance. So on top of everything else, his dog was acting in accordance with something strange going on. So then we see that CJ's in a different area. He drove away from the haunted area that he was in, and he continues to fix his fridge as if nothing happened. Because CJ is a badass. But thankfully, CJ's safe. He explains at the end that he and the dog drove away about 50 miles away, and he was not about to stay there overnight. So I'm really glad they're safe, but I do appreciate how casual he is. And again, we'll talk about why that reaction is more convincing to me. Here's why this story does it for me. If you look at the guy's channel and his community tab, this video is literally the only thing that relates to the paranormal. He has never tried to convince anyone before or after this video that he got proof of ghosts, at least as far as I found. If you just watch some of him in his videos, he clearly has no interest in going viral or getting attention. He has his channel to make enough money to continue van lifing and living his best life. And he's doing a great job and has this solid audience. The ghost video isn't even his most popular video, so I don't see any motive for him to make this up or set it up. The other really convincing thing for me is that his reaction is extremely genuine. He's not overly dramatic like we see in a lot of videos.
Yo, there's like a little boy over there.
Shut up, no way.
But he is rightfully and appropriately freaked out, enough so that he takes the correct action of leaving the area.
I left. I was gone. I was gone so fast. I didn't even pack the van away.
We know that he leaves because we see his van in a completely different surrounding than we did before, so we know he's telling the truth about that. Now let's try to be skeptical and pretend that everything that he experienced was not real or had a logical explanation. Here's my best skeptical take. So for his dog, the dog saw something in the distance that the CJ couldn't see, which happens a lot. Maybe he saw this animal move in the distance that the dog didn't recognize, and so of course it's not going to approach some animal it doesn't recognize because the dog was probably scared of it. The wailing that CJ heard could be explained by another animal. There are some animals that make extremely strange noises, especially if you're not used to those noises. They can be really scary. Mountain lions, for example, can make crazy, scary sounds when they're fighting and sound like humans screaming. Certain foxes can make sounds that sound like a human in distress. Or if you've ever heard a raccoon fight, yeah. However, I have a hard time with this one because CJ travels around to different countries in the wilderness like all the time. Like that's pretty much his life. So I feel like he would know what an animal sounded like, and I think he'd be familiar with these noises. So I have a hard time with that skeptical explanation that I have. Maybe the woman he encountered was just really strange, and maybe she knew a really quick way out of the forest that he didn't know about, or she had a van nearby. Maybe she was having a psychotic break or something, and that would explain her odd behavior. Again, this seems like quite the stretch, but it is possible. And then for the video that he took, perhaps it was just a trick of the light or some animal in the distance again. But as you can probably hear, I barely believe my own skeptical version of this. Personally, I believe him. His reaction and then subsequent action after the fact seem pretty genuine and not over the top to me. I believe that he really believes that he saw what he saw, and we'll never really know if it was actually a ghost or if it was some sort of trick of the mind. It's hard to know without real close-up footage of this girl that he says he saw. But of course, like I said, if he had footage of that, I'd be very suspicious of why he conveniently had his camera out to take a footage of a stranger who in a foreign country probably wouldn't appreciate that. So it's hard to know one way or the other because we just have to take his word for it. But whatever it was, I believe that CJ really saw something, whether it was a ghost or otherwise. Let me know in the comments if anybody has seen this video before, and if you want to take a crack at debunking it, I'm open to other explanations. Personally, I think it's a very fascinating video and a pretty scary experience regardless of what happened. I know if it were me, especially being alone, I would have lost it. If y'all could throw my video a like, that would help me out a lot. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching, especially if you made it to the end, and I will see you all in the next one.